Okay, so we're starting now on the, this is a second session on Michi's back checker strategy. And the first session we covered splitting basically and the splitting rules. Michi covered them in depth. I have had a slightly different way to organize them, and which I like a little bit better than Michi's, but I like to think of them all at once. And Michi didn't do that in his first book, but he did do that here in his back checker strategy. So I think that was good. But then now he's going to, so we covered splitting. Now he's going to start talking about the strategy involved and what do you do? How does where your back checkers are influence what you're going to do with your moves? So the first example we have, well, and he breaks this down into a number of different stages. And so what we're going to look at now is the what he calls the initial stage. And the initial stage is basically when we have not made an anchor yet. No one has made an anchor, basically. And we compare that with the he calls the advanced stage. The advanced stage is when someone has made an anchor, and look at the differences between the two. And so it's really a very simple difference to make, to understand. And it's basically, well, let's Les, what do you think of this play now? 5-3. Do you know what the right play is for yellow? Black has opened with 5-4 and split to the 5-point. Came down from the midpoint to the 8.
I apologize, but I can't. The way that I've got the Zoom set up, I see this little postage stamp of a board on top of the great big picture of you, and I don't know exactly how to.
If you could minimize the picture of me, should do it.
When I do that, it just minimizes everything.
Okay. So all right. Well, what's on the board is a 5-3 to play. And question is.
I got it. Yeah. Okay. 5-3.
Yeah.
13 to 8 and 24 to 21.
Okay. Well, that's not the right play. Typical play.
Oh, double tiger. 1, 2, 3. Tiger. Yeah.
Okay.
Tiger. Yeah.
That's not right either.
Well,
get loose on the 20-point, 5-point.
Typically, the play is to make the 3-point with a 5-3. In this case, it's actually to hit from the midpoint. Now, Les, you talked about the double tiger. The double tiger you do, first of all, when you can't do anything else useful on the one hand, and on the second hand, if you have 8 checkers in the zone, you're not going to do the double tiger. Because attacking with the proverb, attacking with 8 checkers is weak, attacking with 10 checkers is strong. So you only have 8 in the zone, so you're not going to do that. And the question is, okay, you're hitting loose here, but you could have made a point. You could have made the 3-point, which typically, if you opened with the 5-3, you would make the 3-point. And so in the initial stage, what Michi wants to emphasize is that you're going to play very aggressively in the initial stage, meaning that, and by aggressive, he means doing things like hitting loose even when you could make a point. And typically, the rule is if you can make a point, that's better than hitting loose. However, in the initial stage, it doesn't work that way. It's you play aggressively. You're fighting for the strong point, which is the 5-point, is more important than making the point or playing safe. And that's all because you're in the initial stage, which is you don't have an anchor. So look at an alternative. So now if we move this up, now we're in the advanced stage, and Michi's proverb then is, okay, if you're in the advanced stage, you have the anchor, you play safe. And so here, the move is going to be to make the 3-point, to play safe. Now, this is a little bit unusual because there's something called kind of the main theory that I'm aware of for the middle game after the opening is called the bold safe criteria, which McGrill came up with a number of years ago. And the bold safe has a number of criteria, and let me bring them up. For you. Bold safe criteria, and they are: do you have an anchor? Who has a stronger board? Who has more checkers back? And who is ahead in the race is really Mochi's addition to this. So the idea is, well, if you have an anchor, you can play more boldly because you have an anchor, you're not going to get closed out. If you have a stronger board, you're going to play more boldly because you want to put your opponent on the bar. And if you get in a blot hitting contest, if you have the better board, you're going to win. Who has more checkers back? Well, if you have a bunch of checkers back already, getting one more back doesn't matter so much. You can play boldly, doing things like hitting loose and that sort of thing. And Michi kind of turns this on his head when he says, well, if you have an anchor, you're not going to play bold, you want to play safer. And so, you know, when you have the anchor, you know, don't get another checker back. Part of the rationale for that is that if we go back to the original position, if you're in this position with your checkers haven't advanced and you get hit, well, that third checker gives you a better opportunity to make an advanced anchor. And so that's kind of a consolation. It's not really an advantage to get hit and go back, but it's a consolation in that you can get something out of it. If you're already advanced, however, getting hit here just sends you the checker back. It puts you farther behind in the race, and you can't really do anything constructive with it. So that's the basic idea that he presents, and the basic difference between the initial stage and the advanced stage. So let's look at a couple of examples, a couple more. So here we have a 4-2 to play. And there are 2 reasonable plays to make out of it. Actually, a couple of reasonable plays, but 2 of them. So Les, what do you think? What do you see here?
Well, 4-2, 4-2, making the 4-point certainly is one possibility.
Yep.
Although
you make a strong. Okay, what's the other one that you should be thinking about? I'll give you a hint.
You can make the 9.
Right, you can make this one.
Oh, the 5-point.
Yeah. So what do you think is better? You could make the 5 and have no blots, or you can make the 4 and leave a blot.
Sure, make the 5.
Yeah, well, that's probably what I would have done until I read this book and actually looked at it. And it's here, surprisingly to me anyway, put on plus. You don't make the 5, you don't cover the 5, you make the 4. And that's really,
wow.
That's yeah, wow, that's kind of surprising to me. It was surprising to me when I saw this, because I would almost, till I saw this, almost certainly have made the 5-point and not left the blot. But here, the idea is that when you're in the initial stage and you don't have an advanced anchor, you play aggressively. And so by slotting the 4, or really making the 4, you've in effect slotted the 5, and you're ready for a much stronger position, like having the 5, 4, and 3. Whereas if you just, okay, great, you've made the 5-point, But after you've made the 5 point, you're not nearly in as good position to make the 4 or the 3 for that matter. Now, let's take a look at this. If you're not in the initial stage. Now, what do you think?
Well, I'd say the 5 point. You could hit the 16, then you've got so many
Yeah.
open blots that you have to make the 5, I guess.
Yeah, in this case, you make the 5. And it's not bad to make the 4 still, but the idea is that we're now in the advanced stage. We've got an advanced anchor. So we want to play safer. Having that extra checker back is just a liability. It just sends you back in the race. So play safer, make the point. And that's what you do. And that's the difference between the advanced and the initial stage. The initial stage is you're pretty much wild and loose and very aggressive. And in the advanced stage, you're much more conservative, play and safer.
But in a way, it seems so far in what you've covered that the advanced stages, you've got an advanced anchor.
Yes.
And the initial stage, you don't have the advanced anchor.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the only difference. And that makes a big difference in what your checker play is. For some of these fairly simple positions. So here's another one. So what do you think here? First of all, what are the good plays that you can make? Well, there's
You can hit the blot on the 4 point.
right.
You can make the 4 point.
Yeah.
And I guess this is an example where you need to play aggressively. Well, you aggressively. You could do.
Well, let's look at a couple plays. You could play safely by hitting here
And cover.
Okay, and then going to the 2, and that's a safe play. Still putting him on the bar, so it's still a good idea. Or you could just go 4 to 2, put him on the bar, but you leave the blot. Now, Michi's thesis is that you can determine which of these is better based on the stage that you're in.
Well, the latter based on the stage.
Yeah, so he's going to say we're in the initial stage. And so we play aggressively. We're going to make the better point, leave the blot. And it's as simple as that.
Wow.
Another one, let's look at an advanced stage. Oh, this isn't quite the same. I meant to do. No, let's try this back again. My examples messed up here. So maybe if we have this. Now we're in the advanced stage. And so we're going to play safer.
Yeah, cover the deuce.
Yeah. So here, we're going to cover 2. Now, it's not so bad here because this is a much stronger point, but this pushes it over to playing safer.
Wow.
Look at some here. Okay. Whoops, I'm missing checker here. Did I do that? I did too. This one doesn't belong here. This one belongs here. So we got 3-1 to play. And what's the safe play and what's the aggressive play?
Well, the safe play would be 8-4.
Yeah, we could go here and that's safe. But we're in the initial stage. So what's the more aggressive play?
Make the 5-point.
That's right. And that's the right play to make in this case, although it's close. But still. And
Fascinating.
it's only close because black has made the 5-point. If black hasn't made the 5-point, maybe black's like this. Then it's, well, it's still close. Still close. But again, if the back checker tells you, play aggressively, you're in the initial stage, go for the best points in the best situation you can. And if you get hit, that's not great, but the third checker actually helps you makes an advanced anchor.
Very good.
So here, same roll, but now we're in the advanced stage. We have the advanced anchor, and the play is going to be
Cover the 4.
yeah, cover the 4. Don't leave the bot. Play safe.
Terrific.
Okay. Oh, this is probably one. Okay, well, here's another situation. Did I just go over the, well, so what do we do here? This is similar to before. We could play safe by hitting the 4, covering the 2, or we could just make the 4.
I'd hit and make the 2.
Yeah. And the reason is we're in the advanced stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here, back when the checkers were here, in the initial stage, it was to make this point, although this is still not bad. But when you put it up, bring them up to the advanced stage, this isn't a blunder, but it's a fairly sizable error to play loose like that. So let's see what this one was. Okay, yeah, this is the one I just showed you. This is the alternative where we're in the initial stage. And so we're going to play a little bit more aggressively, a little loose. So we make the 4-point because it's the better point. And again, this isn't that bad a difference, but it was, it's a big difference between having the anchor and not having the anchor. All right.
You know what, you got the conflicting proverb, you got a stripped 8-point.
Yeah.
Splitting up there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, in this case, because you can hit, you do have a proverb that says split, and it's important to split because you're well blocked. But in this case, you've also got checkers that black is trying to escape.
Yeah.
He's got a lot out there, so if you put him on the bar, he may not be able to escape this checker, and he can't. It takes away a roll. So the most productive thing he can do is hit. And if he does hit, that's not great, but you now have more chance to make the anchor. So
Right. I see.
yeah. So a lot of this, with Michi's proverbs, it's figuring out which is priority and which is more important when. So here he's telling you play aggressively in the initial stage and then safely in the advanced stage. 6-3. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think of this? And this is a tricky one too, because you've got conflicting proverbs here.
Wow.
So let's look at it. Okay. We're in the advanced stage, so we'd like to play safe, but there's no safe play to
Are you
make.
discussing backhand? Or yes, either tomorrow?
So,
Either tomorrow?
what did we do? This is the only six.
Gary, you here tomorrow?
No.
13-7 for sure.
Yeah, so what's the three?
I think you gotta, I think you gotta
Yeah,
get
so
5 points.
the difficulty here is that there's no safe three. You'd like to see your advanced stage, you'd like to play safe, but you can't. So the three is really, this is actually the safest play, the less likely to get hit. But this one is the most productive one, and then it puts black on the bar. So
Yeah, you
it
got
turns out, in this case, that the more productive play is better. And that's, that's, in this case, Michi's rules don't really help you that much because you've got contradictions here. You can't play safe. So when you can't play safe, play productively, fight for the 5 point. Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah. Okay, so that's actually it for this lesson. It was short and sweet. But that's kind of the, that's the main emphasis of his chapter. Know the difference between the initial stage and the advanced stage. And the initial stage, play very aggressively, very loosely, even to the point of giving up shots. And then that's it. Play aggressively, play safely when you're in the advanced stage.
I learned a lot. Thank you, Gary.
Okay, sure. Now Elena just came on. So let me, well, we got to stop the recording.